Hi guys, it's Horsey Steph, and today we are back with the third part of Black Beauty, but again, the fake Black Beauty that I have been reacting to all of last week. So I hope you are excited to dive right in. I am actually really enjoying this movie. It does have a really sweet plot line, even though there's a lot of inaccuracies, very little horse knowledge in the movie, and again, it's not the Black Beauty I thought it was. If you guys could go ahead and hit that like button down below and subscribe for future videos, that would help me out a lot, and let's jump right in. Alright, so she has some sort of pill for Beauty. Not sure why they added that random scream in, because Beauty clearly wasn't screaming there. He's just eating his breakfast. She's now saying Beauty gets afraid when she goes in to try to put the ointment on and give him his meds. I don't think that's what's happening, because from what I have seen, he's very friendly. He likes her and everyone else that he sees. So why he would suddenly be shying away from her when she's not doing anything super complicated makes zero sense to me, but she's pretty clueless, so maybe she's kind of like going in there with a purpose and a lot of energy, and he's just politely stepping away out of her space, and she's perceiving that as him being difficult. I don't know. It just seems illogical, and because they didn't show it, I can't really say much more in there, but that doesn't seem characteristic of this horse, so if it actually happened, it's got to be something she did that confused the horse, and so he was being submissive and getting out of her space, even though it's not what she wanted of him. Alright, so this is an antibiotic pill. It looks like what he's going to do is just press the pills whole into an apple and see if the horse will eat it that way. It's certainly a way you could feed antibiotics if it works. My guess is it would not work very much of the time. It'll probably work in this case because those probably aren't actually antibiotics. They're probably like sugar pills or something of that nature that's sweet and tasty. So the horse likes apple, he likes sweet tasty things, why wouldn't he eat that? But actual antibiotics have a very bitter, unpleasant flavor. Horses really don't like them. So the only way you're going to get a horse to eat an antibiotic consistently is to put it in grain that has a really strong molasses flavor, so that can kind of cover up and hide the antibiotics. Now, not every horse will eat them that way, and especially if your horse isn't used to eating grain, it's not really a great way of doing it because you don't know if the horse ate all of the antibiotics. The correct way to really give antibiotics would be to grind up those pills in a pill grinder with like a mortar and pestle, dump the powder into a syringe, dissolve it in water, and then syringe it into a horse's mouth. That way you know the horse has gotten every little bit of the antibiotics. You haven't just put it in the food and hope that they eat all the food and eat all the antibiotics in the food. There's just a lot more margin for error putting it in food. That being said, a piece of apple, pretty safe way of doing it if it works. But my guess is, in real life, a horse is going to taste that antibiotic and not want to eat the apple, at least the next time you do it. Perhaps the first time they'll eat it and then realize they don't like it. They might also spit it out, which is your worst case scenario, because now you've just wasted pills that they have spit out and you can't really collect them and, you know, grind them easily. So anyway, I guess that's what he's gonna do though. Alright, so now the horse really wants an apple. Not sure why he doesn't just give the horse the apple already and move on.
At least the horse ate the antibiotics, right?
Alright, so the horse was shying away from her, but he seems perfectly happy now. So again, I don't understand what her point was with that, and the horse just doesn't exhibit that. The grandfather's gonna hold the horse while she puts the ointment on his spur rubs. That makes a lot of sense. Just in case the horse doesn't like it, you did see him move away from her just a little bit. I could see either tying the horse or having somebody hold the horse so that you can safely put the antibiotic ointment on
And not have to worry about the horse constantly moving away from you and you having to run in and do it. Although, me personally, I would probably just run in and do it and leave. Unless I had a particularly difficult horse, which I can't imagine this one being.
I'm not sure why she is worried about the horse not trusting them, because it looks like it trusts them completely. Even if it doesn't like antibiotic ointment being put on its spur rubs, it still looks like it trust them. I mean, it lets them walk right up, pet it, get all in its face. Those are all things horses wouldn't let you do if they didn't trust you, because they are prey animals. Being confined, being close to other things, being close to something that's a threat is not a safe place to be for a prey animal. So I think that's kind of a load of malarkey. The horse trusts just fine. Maybe he was ridden poorly with excessive use of spurs, but he likes people and he's friendly and trusting and kind. Alright, so he just said that they are going to fix up the fences now that they have a reason to, i.e. Black Beauty is here and they need fences fixed for him. But they have 40 acres of fenced, flat, non-wooded land that they keep cattle on. And so presumably the cattle are the ones that kind of broke the fences down, and those are the ones that you're going to want to be repairing the fencing for. Cattle are notoriously terrible on fencing. They go through fencing for absolutely no reason. Even if you feed them, they have lots to eat and do. They still are much more likely to go through a fence than a horse. That really is only going to go through a fence for starvation or abandonment, fear, etc. Cows are much more likely to just say, oh, what happens if we push through this fence? Let's see what's on the other side. So that doesn't really make sense to me that he's going to fix the fencing up now for Beauty. He should have been fixing up the fence for the cattle all along. And if the cattle aren't getting through, I highly doubt Beauty's going to get through. Especially on 40 acres when there really isn't going to be any reason for Beauty to go through the fence.
Alright, so I'm not really sure why they have Beauty
in the stall still with a halter. That seems like a major liability issue to me. And there's just really no reason for him to have this halter on 24/7. So just a random scene cutting to him while they're doing stuff around the farm, and he's got that halter on while he looks out his window. It's just unnecessary. They should take it off for him to just be in a stall. And even if they're just trying to make it easy for the film crew, it's not that hard to catch a horse. So again, they should take it off while he's sitting in the stall chilling, while they're filming without the actors, and then put it back on if the actors are going to be in the scene with him. That way they have a little more security. Alright, so it's the next day, and she's going in there. She's the only one in the barn at this point, in theory, and he has a halter and a lead rope on. So I wish they had at least left the lead rope off or hidden it better so that you couldn't see it. I would assume there's somebody in that stall holding the horse so that he's up at the fence to greet her. And it just seems like how they're doing it this movie is always having a handler for the horse attached to him in some way so that they can hand the horse to the actor or just have him positioned for the shot. But totally unrealistic. You would never leave a rope on a horse in a stall. I mean, leaving a halter on is already something that virtually never happens, and they both have a lot of risk associated with them, so that part's completely unrealistic.
And you can see somebody has to be holding him because there's nothing to tie him to at this point.
Beauty let him in? Like, what is this? This idea that Beauty is difficult to go in the stall with and difficult to be around is something that if they want to include in this movie, they need to corroborate it with some sort of evidence. The fact that every time somebody goes over to the stall, his face is against the bar, he's greeting them. Anytime they open the door, he's right there greeting them, enjoying being pet and brushed and loved on, makes it very hard for me to believe that he is difficult to be around. And so when she says things like, oh, how did Beauty let this new guy come feed him? Of course he let the new guy come feed him. I mean, it's nothing really that special in the first place. I'm sure Beauty likes being fed, and he likes people, so of course he likes it. I don't understand why this is the second time now she's tried to make him out to be difficult when he's absolutely not difficult in any way. It seems more to me like she's trying to make the situation more difficult than it actually is. Because my viewpoint is that the horse couldn't possibly be difficult. And if they actually want to portray the horse difficult, then maybe they shouldn't have somebody standing holding the horse to make sure that he's always there to greet people. Because I actually don't think the horse that is playing Beauty is as sociable and friendly as they are trying to make Beauty out to be. I suspect the horse that plays Beauty is kind of quiet and keeps to himself, probably would be in a corner napping if they weren't holding him, forcing him to be up at the bars to say hi to everyone.
Alright, so their vet is now here to take a look at Beauty. That seems like a perfectly good idea. I would also want to have my vet out right away since I don't think the shelter did a proper job with any of his injuries. And I could see why the vet might actually want to look at this horse, not just look at the x-rays to evaluate it.
X-rays don't always represent the problem as clearly as you would think they do. You might have a horse that's perfectly sound, happy, no swelling, no edema, trots out just fine, going really great, and you look at the x-ray and you're like, oh my god, this horse should be crippled. So x-rays don't give us an accurate depiction of what causes pain. And so while we might look at an x-ray and say something needs to be done here, if the horse seems sound, comfortable, and happy, perhaps we ignore the x-ray, we keep it in the back of our mind for when problems might start to pop up. We can say, oh, maybe it's because this x-ray, let's re-x-ray, let's look into this more. But you're not going to necessarily go try to fix a problem that you see on x-ray just because, even if the horse looks sound and happy. That being said, he thinks that this hock looks terrible, so I do think this is a surgery case. I think that the bent screw is probably causing a problem for this horse, and it should probably get fixed in some way surgically at a hospital. So this vet, in my opinion, based on the x-ray, I believe should be referring them to a hospital to get that joint looked at a little bit further and potentially replacing or just removing that bent screw so that it's not interfering with the joint. But let's see what he has to say.
I don't understand how diet has to do with anything.
Okay. I don't understand this vet's treatment plan at all. The first thing he mentioned on a horse with a issue in its hock and clearly some sort of old fracture in the hock because they could see the pins on x-ray. His first recommendation is diet. The only way diet is going to play in to an injury like that is if the horse is morbidly obese or clearly emaciated or lacking any kind of balanced vitamin minerals. Your ordinary horse on a basically acceptable, fine diet is not needing any specific changes in order for this to heal. Now, are there supplements you might be able to give a horse to help them heal better? Yes, there are 1,000 supplements. Do they actually do anything? That's a whole different conversation. But I have never had a vet recommend changing my horse's diet for an injury. Certainly, maybe you want to lower calories so they don't get fat while they're on stall rest, or you want to make sure that it's all low energy feed so they're not super hyped up. Stuff like that, and maybe calming supplements so the horse stays calm. All of that is kind of diet related, but making a real change to the diet is kind of a secondary thing to fix secondary issues you might run into while a horse is on stall rest. This horse looks healthy, he looks well cared for, so there's no reason you should be addressing his diet. First and foremost, you should be addressing that hock. Now, the other thing that he mentioned that I really don't understand is injections. And he makes it out like the grandfather used to do these injections himself, and now he's too old to do them. If you're going to be injecting this horse because of that injury, I'm going to assume you're talking about either a sedative, that's certainly something a vet might give you to do yourself, or joint injections would be my first thought of what he's talking about. And a joint injection is something that is very precise. It takes a lot of training. The vet has to be able to put that needle in exactly the right spot, keep it extremely sterile, do everything perfectly, because you could end up with an infected joint, which can lead the horse to going into sepsis and kill them. So Joint injections are something I could definitely see doing with this injury, just to help healing, to help prevent arthritis from building up, but not something that you're gonna do yourself. Unless he's talking about sedatives, I don't know what you could possibly give the horse IM that would help with his recovery, and this doesn't seem like a horse that needs to be sedated. He seems perfectly quiet and happy to be living in this stall. A vet is never going to ask you to do anything except a basic IM injection that needs to happen regularly, so something that might need to happen like twice a day or every day or before you take him out to exercise. Those are the kind of things vets are going to say, are you comfortable doing this yourself? I've done lots of IM injections for my horses. When my mom's horse was laid up, we used to do an IM sedative for him to take him out and hand walk him. And then we would do an IM sedative to turn him out so that he wouldn't get all excited. And that was just, it's really easy for me to do. My vet could give me the bottle of sedation, the needles, tell me how much to give, and then I could just monitor him. And when he did get a little bit too aroused, give him a little more sedative. That kind of situation happens all the time, but I don't really understand it in this situation. And then the other component he mentioned was exercise. That certainly is relevant to this injury. You probably want to keep the horse mostly quiet and then very slowly hand walk the horse and eventually build the horse up into real work again. But that's going to be a slow process, so definitely something that's going to take a lot of care and attention to make sure that the horse doesn't overexert himself too quickly, but also does get movement so all the soft tissues heal properly.
So again, somebody is holding this horse with a lead rope in the corner, kind of where you can't see them, to keep him at the hay eating. And it's only because somebody is holding this horse that she can open the door and then walk away.
Learning to trust her. Beauty's trusted people this whole time. Perhaps he's getting a little better for the antibiotic cream because he's getting more used to it, and also it's healing, so a little less painful. But he's always trusted her. Trust was never the issue. And really, he's caused very few issues in the first place. He's a very easy horse and easy for everything they've done. So that makes no sense to me that she's still on this whole he needs to trust people.
Certainly, as time goes on, they can get a lot better for dealing with wounds. Just they get a lot more familiarized with the process and realize that you're not actually going to hurt them. And the wound is starting to heal, so they get less defensive about it. So that is accurate. Certainly, as time goes on, they get easier to treat. His coat has been shiny. He is
not really any healthier than he was when they first got him. He's just cleaner because she grooms him. He was perfectly healthy and clean when they got him. He had just rolled in some dirt or mud or something they had to brush off. But after that very first grooming she did, which was very light and not intense at all, he was perfectly clean. And his coat has always been shiny under the dirt. Clean horses don't really make happy horses necessarily, and horses go from clean to dirty multiple times a day. My horses every single day get dirty when they go outside in the morning, get clean when I ride them, go get dirty when they go outside, maybe get clean again before I put their blanket on. You know, they have this cyclical cycle of being dirty and clean, and dirty and clean, and dirty and clean. So clean doesn't really make the horse any healthier. I don't see what big transformation they're talking about with him. It's a transformation mine do every single day, and much more severe because mine get caked in mud and absolutely disgusting. They can be absolute pigs outside, and then they get all sparkly clean and lovely. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that segment of Black Beauty, and I look forward to finishing the movie off with a couple more segments. It is quite a long movie and there are a lot of pieces to react to, so I'm trying not to make these videos too long so that you don't have to sit for, 2 hours watching a movie with me. I figured breaking it up into smaller segments really is much better. But leave me a comment down below, let me know what you think. If you want me to do these videos a little differently, then just let me know and I would be happy to do that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you guys all tomorrow. Bye!